Toyota plant. They're fairly close. Let's go ahead and look here at the angle of this. It's moving a little more east. So a lot of times this box here implies direction, and I don't know that that direction is necessarily accurate at this point. So I'm tracking this 10 miles per hour, and it might not hold on to even 10 miles per hour. But let's take it all the way into Lee County eventually there. Within 20 minutes for Wallerville, assuming it's going that 10 miles per hour, and it might pick up a little bit of speed. It's just been pretty much crawling there. Blue Springs, we're looking at 43 minutes for you if it kind of holds on to that speed, but it might pick up just a little bit. And certainly the rotation has increased on this storm, and that's a situation we're obviously very concerned with. I'm going to make sure there's not another thunderstorm out there that we have to pay attention to. Hailers probably producing more than inch-size hail. Probably should have a severe thunderstorm warning out for the Ripley area, but Weather Service Memphis being a little slow on the go on that this evening. And then another thunderstorm down here moving toward Louisville. Let's send NBC back to... Nope. We're going to stick here. We're going to go all four. Tornado warning coming out for Union County. So tornado warning coming out for Union County. Let's go ahead and let's bring everybody over. Me TV, this TV, NBC, ABC. Okay, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon here alongside our meteorologist John DeLucic. Alyssa, if you'll help me get our Facebook Live here up, and we'll get that going. If you'll aim that on the TV, Alyssa, and we'll get that and make sure that's up and go. We're watching a hail producer down here moving toward Noxapater, but the National Weather Service in Memphis has now upgraded our severe thunderstorm warning south of New Albany to a tornado warning. That in effect until 7:30. This is not a fast-moving thunderstorm. They're going 15 miles per hour on it. I'll buy that. So based on about 15 miles per hour, because it has picked up just a little bit of speed. We're watching a rotation there near Wallerville, moving in the direction of East Union. So now we're less than 9 minutes into Wallerville. Reese, we show in 19 minutes. East Union, about 32 minutes. That'd, of course, be East Union School there as we're watching that thunderstorm continue to strengthen somewhat. So as we mentioned a moment ago, we had rotation. Now we're defining this as a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. By the way, might as well let digital Matt Lawpon handle this one for a moment. Hello?
This is WTVA Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon with a Weather Call mobile notification. The National Weather Service has just issued a tornado warning for within 1 mile of your smartphone's current reported location. Take protective action now. To view a Google map of the exact warning area or to read the full text of the warning.
Okay, so taking care of that, and a reminder that that weather call, you saw it pop on there, and almost instantly getting the phone calls it's delivering to lots of folks around the area right now. So middle of a sturdy structure where you need to be. Lightning on the uptick. The potential for this to produce a tornado continues to increase. Let's come down here street level. Let's look at this. I'm going to have to, looks like, pull off lightning for a moment to be able to see it. So I have near County Road 291 circulation that could be increasing. This is I-22. We should have mentioned this earlier. Stop folks northwest of New Albany. Stop them south and east of Sherman. Don't let them drive on I-22 into this. It probably has. In fact, we need to probably, John, if we could on 3, pull up the camera at Blue Springs there. We might be able to get a shot of that from Blue Springs. And I'm going to actually, while you're doing that, swing around our Tupelo Tower Cam. So let's go and circle here where we believe our rotation continues to increase on this thunderstorm. And I put it right there just between Ingomar and New Harmony there. New Harmony, of course, essentially very near where the Toyota plant, the large Toyota plant is there. At this time, it's probably going to stay just a little north of that, but this has moved enough to the east that I cannot guarantee that it goes more southeast. We're going to pull up this camera here. Oh, yeah, John. Yeah, get that pulled up. So we're looking right at that wall cloud. So this, if you can, John, look at Tower Cam, swing Tower Cam that direction. We're going to have visibility of this right now. So this is our well-defined wall cloud on this. Now, a couple things I'll note looking at this. And I wonder if I can zoom it in a little bit more here. I should be able to zoom that in. See if it'll let me zoom it in closer. What I'm watching right behind my head here is I'm watching the air going up into this right there. So this is where we have air going up and twisting into this. Now what I have at this moment, it looks like I do have a separation between the base of this cloud and the thunderstorm, but we're looking right there along I-22 on this. So definitely watching things. So this would be looking back toward the west. So this probably hasn't quite, because of the jog there in I-22, passed over that, but there's definitely some rotation showing up on that. While that is doing that, I'm going to minimize this a little bit. Any good shot there on the Tower Cam, John? We'll go ahead and we'll swing Tower Cam back around and let's look at this. Oh yeah, so same shot, different angle there. We're going to have an excellent viewpoint on this. John, go ahead and zoom that in a little bit more. So this is a rotating thunderstorm prompting a tornado warning that does include locations in and around Union County in particular. This storm is getting more organized. You can see right above where John's showing you here, this is that rotating part of the thunderstorm where stuff tries to go up and in. There's a couple of spots there that we're going to have to watch very closely, but that's the one we were looking at out of that camera there, Blue Springs. So this is what is moving there toward the New Harmony area, Wallerville, basically crossing I-22 at this point. A lot of cloud to ground lightning strikes on this. Let's give some perspective. This is different than the typical supercell rotating thunderstorm we see here in North Mississippi. This one has, frankly, is more like what you would end up seeing on the plains. It's what we call a low precipitation supercell. So what I'm watching for at this moment here is how that is getting a little more organized. And as we look closer here, I want to watch very closely on this wall cloud here, and I'm going to bring it in just a little bit more. So John, I'm going to go ahead and do this and just to kind of check for the rotation on this. It's actually a pretty good contrast on where the air is going up into this. So we're watching to see if we could see that rotation right there, John. Let's zoom in a little bit closer to see what we have there. And we're going to fight the focus. But we're looking at the rotating part of this where air is going up into it right there. I don't have anything at the ground, but this is pretty close to trying to produce a tornado. I can't tell for sure that that's not Scud, John, but that's a fairly impressive look out of our Tupelo Tower Cam right now, unfortunately.
Like I said, it's the one in New Albany, the shot right there in Blue Springs.
I'm gonna look from the other direction there, from Blue Springs for a moment to see if we have similar angle on that there. We unfortunately can't move this one, but you can see that area of concern where we have that, what stuff is going up into that thunderstorm there and the rotation it's trying to produce. So that's definitely a situation we got to be careful of. So there's definitely a few spots there. Oh, and we'll wait for that to come in. John, look at chroma key with me. Definitely have air moving up. At that portion there. So there's a couple of spots there we're going to have to watch. Let's go back here to radar for a moment. Let's make sure that we have the latest on where we're showing folks this, because it has moved now a little bit more directly toward the Wallerville area. Our circulation pretty much right along, as you can clearly see, right along I-22 at this time. You can hear the tornado sirens going off in the background here anytime Lee County it has any portion of the county under a tornado warning. They run sirens for the entire county, so that's going on. So for just a moment, let's clarify here what we have and what we don't have. We do not have a tornado warning for the city of Tupelo. We're watching back to the north and west a storm that is rotating vigorously and has the potential to try to produce a tornado. We believe we've seen at least a brief funnel cloud out of this thunderstorm. As I widen it, I want to make sure we don't miss something else there, because there's a couple of spots that are rather interesting looking here. John, let's see if we can hold that. I gotta make it big.
That is interesting.
It is not vigorously rotating, but this could potentially be a tornado in the development phase or pretty close there. We also get sometimes what we call scud clouds, little pieces of cloud that are lofted up in there. Because of the distance it is, I think I have a rotation. I think we have a tornado on the ground on this thunderstorm here. That's enough that I think we're going to go with it. So I believe we have a tornado on the ground with this thunderstorm. I'm going to keep it on the screen there for you. So give me a moment to kind of have it on the screen. And then let's put over here where we're looking to make sure we have as much as possible. So there we are, pretty much right along I-22. We believe maybe a brief spin up there on Storm Track Doppler radar. I'm going to go back, and John, if you'll keep that camera back up.
Okay, I'm putting it back up.
Okay,
so we'll trying to see the other vantage point.
Now let's keep it on this one there and see if we can verify that. Does not have as good of an angle on that there. So let's go ahead and minimize that and bring back Tupelo Tower Cam. So Wallerville, we need to have you in your tornado safe place. This is not moving as fast as a lot of our tornadoes do. But Wallerville, it's no more than probably another minute to 2 minutes. So I know we're kind of cramming a lot of stuff on the television screen here at once. Wallerville shows less than 5 minutes for the middle of Wallerville, obviously over I-22 right now. So hopefully we're continuing to hold folks back away from that. Let's widen for things for just a moment here. Let's make sure we're not missing something. These other thunderstorms have some rotation with them. The storm moving in from Louisville.
I got a wider vantage point of that storm up.
Okay, real quick. This storm in Louisville, I'm going to get you a storm track on this. Make sure that we have the right time, the right speed on this. I'm going to make sure that speed is 30 miles per hour just to get you this. This is going to be big hail. And so like you need to make sure to be paying attention to this. So Louisville, big hail for you. We show, I can't pick it out, 723. Okay, so let's bring it closer in here to the tornado warned thunderstorm in eastern Union County. Well, it's kind of central Union County still. It's just moving so very slowly. And we're going to bring up which camera? What are you looking at?
Now looking at I-22 and 9 now, looking a little farther east and then looking west, trying to see if we can see a little better vantage point.
Okay, that's the same shot I think we have on Tupelo Tower Cam. So let's go ahead and let's go to the other one if we could.
Okay.
And we'll come back to that one here in a minute. Tupelo Tower Cam looking at the same storm here. And we've kind of lost our clarity, so let's back it up as we're also losing some of the light of the day. So it's going to be more and more difficult to kind of see. We also have a rain curtain coming around. Let's bring this full screen for a moment. We have rain coming around, and that's going to obscure our viewpoint of this. So what is probably happening here is the storm. Yeah, I just want to make sure that stuff in advance. But what's happening here, and I'll see if I can get it to clean up the contrast here just a little bit more to cut through this. But as the rain comes around here, this is when the storm, what we call the RFD, the rotating part.
Might take a look at the video right now from it's looking ominous. There is something that's circulating. I'm not sure if it's a funnel or that. In
the middle? Are you talking?
Yeah, left. Is that, well, it was for a while there. It looked like it was trying to develop toward the ground.
Okay, like way at the end here.
Yeah.
At the far left edge.
Well, actually, one right in front of that.
Okay. I mean, there's a couple spots there.
So right behind our sign almost.
Okay.
It's like behind our weather authority sign.
Okay, John, keep your eye on that there. Let me know if it kind of takes that next step. What we also have happening here is we kind of have a cell merger. The storm down to the south, this has been our rotating part of the thunderstorm there near Wallerville, south of Wallerville. Kind of moving now in toward Wallerville, and now it's just kind of got wrapped into a bunch of rainfall. Yeah, things have broadened out a little bit. Okay, that's a good sign. So this is what's happened, John, I think. The reason why there's a couple spots, and I'm saying I'm seeing rotation, I'm looking at a different spot than you, is it's broadened that rotation out. So there's a couple spots here where it's spinning, but if you have a couple spots where it's spinning, a lot of times you have 0 spots where you're producing a tornado. So that's probably what is happening with this as it's moving toward Wallerville. What hopefully will happen is the rainfall from this storm down here, and there's also probably large hail with that as well, is getting in here, and that messes up the winds for this. So I think that might be what we're going through as this storm kind of goes through a bit of a cycle here. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon alongside our meteorologist John DeLucig. We're watching a storm that has prompted a tornado warning. We're looking at it from a couple different perspectives. This with our Mississippi Department of Transportation camera, where there have been a couple of areas of rotation. We believe we might have had a brief, certainly funnel, if not tornado, out of this. Tupelo Tower Cam also watching this closely between lightning strikes and kind of looking here back to the west. This is where we previously had what might have been a brief touchdown, or certainly pretty close to that, looking back toward I-22 in Union County. So we're looking a fairly considerable distance away, which makes knowing what we're looking at a little more difficult. I don't think this changes regardless. I think you need to make sure that you are in a tornado safe place if you're in this red box. Who's in this red box? Folks near East Union School, obviously Wallerville, Cownville, Halltown, as well as eventually Bethany, Graves, and the Birmingham Ridge area for far northwest Lee County. Blue Springs also in that as well, though it is taking a path that takes it just a little bit to the north. So definitely potential there that this has rotation that could try to produce a tornado. Let's come back in. Let's look at that rotation in more detail. Not quite as organized as it was a minute ago there. A good sign, something that visually we can see line up with this. Let's get a look at the storm south of that now is producing very large hail potential as well, as really they all have today. I'm going to look, if I can, three-dimensionally at both of these, and maybe we can see some sort of uptick or collapse in the overall thunderstorm in that north one to give us an idea of what it's capable of. By the way, they're going golf ball size hail potential out of this thunderstorm here north of Pontotoc. Hail that could be up around golf ball size. We saw that lightning strike there at the back. There's also some rotation in this. So it's about the exact same environment as the storm north that prompted the tornado warning that may have briefly had certainly a funnel cloud on that. And so the concern is that this could possibly end up trying to do something along those lines as well. Another shot of this from Union County. Appreciate Jennifer for this picture here. Definitely very well organized. The base of this cloud pretty low. Of course, you can share your pictures with us. Tweet us at WTVA weather is probably the easiest way to get a hold of us and for us to be able to share what you have on the air. So this one has the precipitation up all the way to very high. I mean, what we're looking at, 40,000 feet. So I expect just east of Ecru in particular, that is what we're looking at. Let's look at the other thunderstorm. I'm going to have to kind of move that one out of the way to have a shot of it. It's not quite as high as it was just a little bit ago. Give me a moment here for this to kind of pop in. Okay, so a little bit of a relaxing at the top, but it's still strong enough it could strengthen back and try to produce a tornado. So that is clearly our concern that is a possibility. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside our meteorologist John DeLucig. What we're looking at here on Storm Track Doppler radar, 2 thunderstorms close in that have a potential to produce golf ball or larger size hail. One that has a potential to produce a tornado. Lots of other thunderstorms we're monitoring. A big line back to the west. It's kind of a full plate of things. So the reason why we're not talking more about you down in Louisville or down in Noxubee County is that is a purely hail-producing thunderstorm. We're looking at 717 for the arrival in Louisville. The Estes community, it's on top of you at about 709. Eventually work its way towards Starkville about 8 o'clock if it continues at that current pace. But we have 2 thunderstorms rotating. They are not moving fast. Both, I think, are trying to get more organized and try to produce a tornado. This one here, we might have briefly done that, and has prompted a tornado warning on the north side here. As we go to the wind mode, I'm a little more concerned with our storm back around Ecru at the exact moment here, to be perfectly honest. Just southeast of Ecru, this rotation continues to get a little bit more organized on this thunderstorm. So I would say if you live near Cherry Creek, Ecru, we need to have you in your tornado safe place at this moment here. Lowest floor of a sturdy structure is where we encourage you to go. At this time, I don't have a tornado warning that's been issued for you in Hippolyta County, but this thunderstorm has gotten a lot more organized just in the last couple of minutes here. Shane with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters is live along Highway 9. We'll pull that up on Weather 3 if we could, John. Do you happen to have teams up on Weather 3 over there?
I do not.
Okay, I should be able to pull it up here. Give me just a moment to try to pull up Shane on Highway 9. He's pretty much right where we need to see. But we will pull up his video here for a moment. And so, oops, let me pull that back up. So this is the northern storm. So really quick, I'm going to keep that down for just a hot second. I'm going to get a storm track on this. We're going to assume about that 15, and that the storm near Ecru heading toward Enville and Sherman could have that potential to try to produce a tornado at some point. Obviously, over top, very near that Cherry Creek area, Enville 27 minutes. This is assuming 15 miles per hour. It could pick up some speed beyond that. Rotation increasing, watching it closely. The storm that's prompted the tornado warning up here closer to Wallerville. We go back to the rainfall mode. I would have that rotation pretty much right over top of Wallerville. I mean, we're now probably 15, almost 20 minutes talking about that one spot. That tells you how slow it's going. 15 miles per hour might be a little bit fast. The wind is not quite as well organized. As we bring it back over here, looks like we're in the trees with our storm spotter there. That's one of the problems with the storm spotting, is it becomes very, very difficult to really, to see things. That's why we don't want any amateur storm spotters in this kind of situation, because that can prove to be a dangerous thing. Here's our Tupelo Tower Cam. We're kind of losing contrast with that. Unfortunately, I think we're at that point where we might have to wait on lightning strikes. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time kind of waiting for this to show up there, but certainly that is the area that we are watching. A little bit of this is another interesting area on the kind of northeast portion of that, John. If I could see you over on Tower Cam for a moment.
Okay.
What I'm trying to figure out is what I am looking at here. I mean, I know what it looks like, but what I don't see is I don't have a lot of vigorous upper movement into
Could be
this
scud.
at this point.
I mean, it's really hard to tell right now.
Fairly low, though.
Yeah. Looking toward the ground, see if there's any.
Go ahead.
I mean, right now, it's one of those things. It's hard to, when you see it like still like that, it's hard to determine if it's scud or if it's just something that's just maybe trying to rotate.
Here's a shot from Shane with North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters on that thunderstorm in the rain, trying to negotiate it. What I don't have at this moment is a tornado. Stay on that chat with them. Make sure that doesn't possibly. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even popping it up there. Let's pull it back up so you can see it. There's the shot there of the lowering on this thunderstorm. Watching it very closely. it's definitely trying very hard to produce. Appreciate Shane. He's going to be in position to have a good look at that. More in the rainfall there than previously was the case, watching that thunderstorm. Let's look down here at the southern one toward Ecru. Let's check the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. The rotation continues to be organized. It is not fast moving. This one has a little bit more movement and actually a little bit more of a northeasterly angle to it as well. Let's track that toward Blue Springs and Sherman then. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, but I would say tornado possible in my description of the way this thunderstorm is. Hopefully it does not take that next step, but certainly it's a situation we're going to have to watch very, very closely. Clear that there. Let's come back up to the Wallerville storm, which we believe might have briefly produced a funnel cloud a little bit ago. Shot here, it looks like just as I was about ready to take it, our shot there from North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters looks like it has gone down. So we'll see if we can pop that back up here in a minute. John, if you trade me places for just a second here, okay. I need to get my stream back up on this here for just a second.
All right, so once again, we do have a tornado warning that's in effect for a portion of our area. That's, again, from the Albany area looking northeastward toward the Halltown area. Again, this is not a tornado warning over southeast of Ecru, but it still looks very ominous right there. So I wouldn't say, okay, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning. Handle it like it was a tornado warning in case there is something trying to get its act together right there south and east of the Ecru area. So, again, this activity, again, moving off northeastward at a very slow pace compared to some of the other storms that have been moving at a very quick pace. This one right here, I think with the worries we have to have with this one is not as much in the way, well, definitely some hail, but definitely right now the worry is that we are going to be looking at a possible tornado again right here, southeast of Ecru, and again, as you work your way up toward south of Halltown, that area, right, Matt, in that area would be where the potential would be. You're looking at, again, this system moving off northeastward, but it looks, I would say, Matt, this little appendage right there looks really
it looks
very,
like it's
trying. It's just trying something. It's as Matt's trying to get everything together here in the background, we can take a little close-up look at this activity again. Notice again, we're looking at this storm. Very powerful storm. Very much has been a big-time hail producer. And when you look right in hand, if you're, I mean, I'm not saying that this is a warning right here, not to pull away from this warning, again, that's north of this area. Again, you're looking at, when you're looking at the hail right here, most likely, and then you got this little appendage right there. Definitely, if you're south and east of the Ecru area, be on the lookout. There is something very ominous about that, seen through time, many a times. Is the warning, did they take officially, I don't see it right now, the tornado warning? They've taken it away, I think.
Yes, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, there.
We're just trying to make sure it's maybe National Weather Service cancels.
They've gone ahead and dropped it, and I think that's probably what's happened here. We talked about this a minute ago, that the heavy rainfall's gotten in here. It's kind of messed up. Thankfully, messed up the rotation on that one there, and so they've gone ahead and canceled that tornado warning for a moment. Let's go ahead and make sure that that's something we agree with. I mean, there's still a little rotation up there near 348. That's not enough to produce a tornado at this point here. The stuff near Ecru is absolutely, it's not tornado warned, but it looks exactly like the other thunderstorm did prior to it prompting a tornado warning. So, I mean, I would say Cherry Creek, let's treat this as a situation where this could try to produce a tornado for you. So 60-mile-per-hour winds as well. Hailstones, it could be in excess of 1.5 inches. A possibility on this thunderstorm here. We talk about that hail threat. It tends to be a little bit on the front side of this here, more to where you see kind of those black and white colors right along the Union and Pontotoc County line. That's where I would say we're probably dropping hail that's 1.5 inches or larger in size. Significant damaging hail on that thunderstorm, that part of the thunderstorm there. The movement on this one, it actually has some movement, and the fact that we don't have any thunderstorms south of that is I mean, look at that. Watch this thunderstorm put on the brakes. That's always a concern. Move, and then it just slows. I mean, it basically hits the brakes. See how fast that's moving? And it just stops. We've got to stay on this for a few minutes here, because south, anytime
I've got the south from the Toyota. If you look at that, I'm not saying if it's anything standing out.
No, that's probably. Let me see if it'll.
I'm just trying to figure out if that's the Ecru one.
I think that is the Ecru.
Yeah,
if you're looking south out of Toyota, you'd be looking toward the Ecru. Can we really see all the way under that? Let's double check that. See if we truly can see all the way under that from there. So we would be looking. Yeah, no, we're looking through
right
that.
at it.
We're looking right at it. Okay,
that's the wall cloud, right?
So that is the wall cloud. That is the part of that thunderstorm that we're watching. Thank you, John, for getting that.
Right.
Let's keep it up here for a moment. So this is that rotating part of the thunderstorm there. I'm going to see if we can kind of try to center it a little bit more. This is where that thunderstorm is rotating. And we do have a clear gap between the base of that and the ground, so that's a positive sign at this moment here. But it's a very well organized thunderstorm. Every bit is well organized, maybe more well organized than the thunderstorm that prompted the tornado warning that we were watching. So this part here is rotating, and that's the reason why, with kind of the we'll put that I'll put that away for just a moment here, why I'd highly encourage you, if you live here near the Center Hill Road and the Cherry Creek community just east there of Ecru. I know a lot of folks there in Ecru. I would have you in your tornado safe place. This is a situation where the National Weather Service has kept this a severe thunderstorm warning. Rotation there definitely that could potentially lead to a tornado developing. We have not had one spotted, and radar has not confirmed debris, but we have an excellent viewpoint here of that wall cloud on Storm Track Doppler radar. Right there. So this is our Mississippi Department of Transportation camera, and there's that rotating part. It's moving so slowly that as it changes speed, when you have a rapid change in speed, that's almost always a sign of intensification. Now, hopefully that's just intensification that produces hail. We don't want the hail, but certainly we don't want anything else that could come along with this. So that's clearly our concern at this
Is that
moment
it
here.
right here off of our tower cam? Take a look right
Okay.
now. I just pulled it over.
Oh, yes.
There it is.
That is,
That
wow,
is it.
John. Okay, yeah, that's an excellent shot of that there. So,
Holy cow.
wow. Okay, so this is a very well-defined storm there. I'm watching kind of the back part of that. Now, see if we can get this to focus here for a moment. It's going to want to do its autofocus thing. So I'm going to turn off autofocus for just a second and see if I can. This is worth us taking a moment here to get this right. Unfortunately, it's maybe take it manual. You ever had your cell phone camera go autofocus and you hate what it ends up doing for you? That's where manual. There we are. We should be able to keep that as we go in now. Okay, so it was a little bit lower just a second ago. It's looking a little bit. There we are. Perfect. Okay, so this is the part of the thunderstorm where things are rotating. We luckily still have a gap between the base of this and the ground. At this moment here, I'm going to play with our contrast for a moment, back and forth to kind of see if I can catch better detail. We're going to put that all the way to there. And so we had a little bit, this little appendage there extending down closer to the ground a moment ago. But this is our shot of that thunderstorm there that has the severe thunderstorm warning. And I've been getting these little fingers hanging down, like this one here. We're looking into Union County with this area of rotation. And once again, John, come with me here on the camera. I have definite vertical motion right there.
There is something.
It's just far enough away. It's difficult to see for sure. But I have something that looks like it could be almost connecting to the ground there. This is our Tupelo Tower Cam.
That is, that's the focus, I think.
Yeah, I'm working on the focus here. Yeah. Chelsea, you're here as well. What do you think? We call it? I'm going to say that's awful close. Yeah.
That is.
I would treat this as though this is a tornado-producing thunderstorm. You might let them know we probably had a little finger funnel out of this in the chat with the National Weather Service here. Make sure they're aware. Hopefully, that's as much as we get out of this near the Center Hill Road.
They're issuing a tornado possible. No, it continues a tornado possible.
Yeah, so they're just basically upgrading the behind-the-scenes language on this. If you know some folks out here, this is generally heading there toward the plant there at Toyota. Let's get a time there, if we could. And it's not moving fast. I mean, let's be crystal clear here. This is moving super duper slow. But I would still probably have it moving, let's just say 15 miles per hour. I'd rather go too fast than too slow. And so that Toyota plant, where if you've gone 15 miles per hour, it shows about 15 minutes for you. Near Supertown Road is where I'd have our circulation right now. Wind mode definitely continues to show that there. Tupelo Tower Cam is probably our best bet at this instant. As we look in, we don't have quite the organization on this that we had just a moment ago. So I'm going to widen this just a little bit. So this is the part of the thunderstorm where things rotate and go up. If it's going to produce a tornado in Union County, this is the part where it's going to happen. Now we have the rainfall back here behind it. And at some point, it's possible that curtain could try to wrap around this. At that point, we call that RFD. That's the situation where that attempts to try to produce a tornado. This is a very slow-moving thunderstorm, so we're able to spend more time analyzing this than maybe we typically do. Apologize for any programming interruptions where you're watching WTVA 9 News on NBC, ABC, Fox, and MeTV. A thunderstorm producing a lot of lightning, giant hail, and we've seen what we believe to be at least a couple finger funnels, maybe a brief tornado touchdown, a possibility out of that. In fact, I'm going to bring it in closer again here, John. And right there, Chelsea, your eyes again. John, your eyes. What are we looking at? Is that, I mean, it's not rapidly rotating. That's the only thing. We're too far away for me to say for sure. So this could be what we call scud cloud, with clouds that are going up into it, but it's in exactly the right spot. And that's the reason. No, I know. We're all getting 6 inches away from a TV here to look and see. They're going tornado warning on this. You're watching live on WTVA 9 News. The part of this. Okay, so look in the background here. You can see the rotation back this direction and then the foreground right there. If this is going to produce a tornado, we're on this. So this is the... Okay, so they're looking at the exact spot here that we're looking at, as this could be a developing tornado on our Tupelo Tower Cam looking back into sections of Pontotoc County. I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit more here for just a second. The speed on that, they're going 20 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and we will reflect that 20 miles per hour as well. Upgrade to a tornado warning now in effect for locations in Lee, Union, as well as... does it clip Prentiss County on that? Yeah, Lee, Pontotoc, and Union County as the weather calls continue to come in here. So based on that 20 mile per hour speed, which might be just a little bit fast, I'm going to track that up here toward Blue Springs, Bethany, Guntown, all those folks. Blue Springs within 14 minutes, Sherman within 17 minutes. Strong straight line wind possible out of part of this, but definitely rotation on this that we've been watching very closely on our Tupelo Tower Cam as it creeps toward the north and east there. So it's come down street level. If we were to see a tornado on this, where would we be looking at this time here? I would place our circulation in the far northern portion of Pontotoc County, within about pretty much right on the county line. Now, of course, Magnolia Way right there, this is the Toyota plant. So this is pretty much moving right toward them. Let's make sure that the movement hasn't shifted a little bit. Now it's moving right toward the Toyota plant, maybe just a little bit east, but not by much. Tupelo Tower Cam right now continues to show a funnel cloud developing on this. That's what we're looking at here. This is not a tornado for sure on the ground. It looks like there's still probably a little bit of a gap, but being that it's what now, 7:16, yeah, we're losing daylight in a hurry, so we're not going to have a whole lot of time that we can keep watching this. I'm going to change our position on the tower cam here just a little bit. I'm going to widen it maybe just a little bit to make sure there's not another part of this wall cloud. It's trying really hard. Hopefully it fails. There's still a gap. That part has kind of weakened a little bit, so it's trying very hard on that rotation to continue to increase on this. By the way, we are currently live on 95.1 The Farm at this moment here, and I believe we'll probably be live on KZ 103 here within, probably actually already are at this time here, as we continue to watch a storm trying to produce a tornado in right along the Pontotoc Union County line, and it's about to be obscured by rainfall. Right there is where we're watching, and the rain is kind of coming around it, making it difficult for us to see on this angle. We'll check the camera in Blue Springs. Is that still up, John? On 3? Okay, we'll try to get that camera back up. We should have a camera that's pointed basically directly into this. It's looking at the rainfall mode. It might be very difficult, might be somewhat obscured to try to get that look there. Wider, I'll make sure our northern storm continues to weaken. This one has the clean inflow. It's the one to watch. I'm going to go really wide for just 2 seconds here. Make sure we're not missing something. We're not. Storms from the west of the wind aren't impressive at the moment, thankfully. And this rotation has broadened just a little bit, so at least a couple of encouraging signs there for what we're looking at. Let's bring back up. Do you happen to have it, John?
I got I-22 west at 9.
I-22 west of 9. Okay, so that's the heavy precipitation up there. I can't quite see it. Is Blue Springs down? Let's see if we can get the Blue Springs south toward the Toyota plant up. That's going to be looking right at it, if we can. Tupelo Tower Cam, let's make sure we're not seeing anything out of this right now. And let's take this a little bit wider. I'm going to switch this over for a moment. Let's see if we have better luck in our night mode. it kind of plays with the refresh rate on this, so we'll give this a moment to see if that's any clearer. The one from Blue Springs is down. Okay. Well, there we are. For a second, you got a pretty good light. Let's bring John's mic up, if we could, please, for a moment here, so we can hear John.
Okay,
and let's get you mic'd up.
Okay, we are looking at a little bit of a slowdown in traffic, which is interesting. I mean, well, obviously.
Hopefully people are stopped either side of that.
Right now, there's from right around Blue Springs, about maybe 2-3 miles north and west, both sides, northwest and southeastbound 22 is on a slowdown, big time.
Okay. Get on the phone with folks. Make sure they don't find themselves in that slowdown. Last place they need to be is dealing with a situation where we could have a tornado developing. I'm going to go back to the daytime mode on this because that's
okay. We got. I'm sorry. I-22 in Belden. Take a look at this.
Okay, give me just a moment.
I'm not sure
here.
if this is one of my. I'm trying to figure out what we're looking at. Okay, we're maybe just looking at.
Nope, we're not.
Okay, that's
the. Unfortunately, the way I'm going to have to keep this. There we are.
There we are.
So this is that portion. We have an amazing view of this, John. We never can see this way, which means probably what we're looking at here. I would guess the majority of the precipitation falling out of this is large hail. We haven't got as many of those pictures in lately. Looks like dime-sized hail, Louisville, New Albany. That was again that's been about 5 minutes ago. Still some very large hail out of that. So lots of large hail. Emily, if you'll come over here to that computer on TweetDeck and you'll go ahead and retweet some of these things coming in. It's going to be the middle computer next to the mirror. No, on the front part here, the front part. We'll retweet some of those coming in as they come in. Tupelo Tower Cam, we're seeing an uptick of lightning from this. Anytime we see an increase in lightning, what we call a lightning jump, our concerns of strengthening increase. So I'm going to put on a storm track here for just a moment where it puts on basically everything. I call it behind the scenes my all cone. So it's like if it's possible that it could show up on a storm track, it's in here. So let's see what we've got on that. There'll be a lot of churches and folks like that. Of course, the Toyota plant, we show 730. I've decreased the speed to about 15 because it is not moving terribly quickly. Blue Springs at 736, Red Hill School at 743, Jones Chapel at 752.
The west end of that wall cloud is kind of building to the ground. So I mean, it's
okay. Which one are you on?
On I-22 west of McCullough, looking northwest.
It is. I'm going to look at Tupelo Tower Cam because we also have a shot of that in reverse. So hold on for a moment. So that's more distant on this shot here. But yeah, you can see, hold that for a second. So I can still see a very clearly defined gap between the bottom of that and the ground. Yeah. That's the main thing we need to see at this point here. So we do not have a tornado on the ground on this at this time. That's not to say that one won't form at some point. But thankfully at this point here, that is not what we have out of this. So let's hope we can continue to have that be the case. Tupelo Tower Cam. Opposite angle because we can get the whole rotating part of this thunderstorm on this. We'll widen this just a little bit. And by the way, there's some. Yeah, this is a healthy thunderstorm because look at this on the southeast side there. So we're looking from northeast back to the southwest. And Chelsea, just from this angle here, you can tell a healthy thunderstorm because you have all the parts here. Like you have the tail cloud there where moisture is being advected into this. I'm trying to think if we safely need to try to move you out there. Now, let's keep you here at this point. We have you here. We'll rotate you out if we end up getting damage. That's probably what we'll do. This is a very well-organized thunderstorm. All of that to say, it may or may not produce a tornado, but it's going to try extremely hard to do that. And continues to do so. There's a lot of lightning on it, large hail potential, and it's still rotating. And unfortunately, we're kind of losing the daylight that we have to work with here. There's a couple of low-hanging things, but largely, even through the rainfall, I can still see a pretty well-defined gap on the bottom of this. So who's in it, who's not? Let's look here closer at the rainfall mode because this is just not moving. I need to verify how slowly this is moving for just a moment here. And so, because it just has not moved. So I'm put my finger there. Okay, so what time? That's 7:10. Okay, so we'll go back to current time is, oh, I lost that clock there. What is current time? 7:27. Okay, so we can get away with half hour. Let's see how far it's moved in a half hour. So in a half hour, oh, we've moved 10 miles. Okay, well, it's moving a little more than I thought it was then. So we're about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Okay, so our tracks have been fairly accurate. Okay, so I have it right over top of the Toyota plant right now. We might double check just to see if that comes up on there, but we showed the Jug Fork area in 22 minutes. I mean, it's crossing I-22 pretty much as we speak. This is the second tornado-warned thunderstorm to cross I-22 within the last 30 minutes or so, and this one obviously is trying very hard to produce a tornado. You saw there for just that moment, that lightning strike. The entire, by the way a tornado works, the entire bottom of this thunderstorm is not going to be a giant, probably is not going to be a giant tornado and touch the ground. But there's going to be a portion of this where the rain comes back around and it tries to do that. But with the lightning strikes there, we can still, I think, firmly say that we do not have a tornado on the ground with this. This is some of that air being wrapped into this very, very picturesque and well-defined thunderstorm here. So let's look another view from Sherman. Let's look at that. Oh, that's an excellent view. Okay, that's a better view at this moment. Okay, so I mean you can still see solid gap between the base of that thunderstorm and the cloud. Good deal. Keep that one up for a while here, John. That's the one we need to pay attention to there. So we clear things off. Let's talk about who's not in this for a moment. Started doing that a minute ago. If you live back here in Pontotoc County, you can come out of that tornado safe place. The rotation is just north of you, pretty much right over top of the Toyota plant based on what we're looking at here, near New Albany. Obviously, within minutes there of Blue Springs. Storm track Doppler radar definitely continuing to show strong rotation on this. It's on debris mode here, trying to say it sees something. Let's double check that. Because I don't know that is what I think it is. No, I don't think that it is. I don't think that's right, because our rotation would be right over there, and if it were to be debris there, that does not line up perfectly. Let's look. Nope, I don't believe that's what we're looking at this point here. Let's check tower cam. Let's make sure, because by the way, I mean, and I don't see it. Do you guys see anything on there that
moving the camera around, so I mean they're trying to focus in on something, I guess.
Then I'm gonna follow you over to MDOT for a second.
Right now they moved it over to just a little south of 22.
Okay, appreciate those folks at Mississippi Department of Transportation. May or may not be watching this coverage right now, trying to give us a couple shots there.
Somebody's live moving it.
So we're looking kind of on that would be just north. You need to come back to the right just a little bit more there. That's looking just north of I-22.
That's actually, if we were looking, yeah, that was west, west. That was west of I-22. Now we're north of I-22.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. What direction were we looking then? Get me this right.
We're actually turning it around. Now you're looking due north. You're looking due north. Now you're looking northwest. Here's I-22.
Okay, I'm sorry. We were looking the opposite
There's
direction.
someone, like I said, someone is moving it around, so they're looking around right now. They're looking actually west, southwest, or south.
We'll come back to that here in a moment. Because that has gotten pretty close to the ground there on the north side of it. I do know for sure the direction that we're looking on this one here. And that part of the thunderstorm right there is awfully close. Now, what we would look for is strong, substantial rotation. I don't necessarily have that at this time. Clearly the lightning strikes are messing with our focus just a little bit, but there's a lot of lightning. When you have this much lightning, it's a sign that if it's going to do it, we're getting closer to that point where it will. So, Chelsea, if you can, I need you to keep an eye on that. Pull it up on 2. Can you pull up tower cam on 2? And then we'll just keep on that to watch this as necessary, because right there, see, even on the wider shot there, it's trying really hard. Right there, once again. And again, the fuzziness makes it difficult here, but that's awfully close to producing a tornado if it is not at this moment here. So where are we looking? We're looking pretty much right over top of the Toyota plant in Blue Springs, maybe just a little bit northeast of that by no more than half a mile or so. The rotation does look a little bit cleaner this time. That's not a good sign, by the way. We want it to look less clean. And it's really, might even be this area that's kind of getting in front there. We might have a new RFD developing. I'm going to jargon this up for just a second. Yes, I think that might be what's happening here. So I think we have a new area of rotation there. It's the same wall cloud, but you get this air that wraps back around, and as that wraps back around, here east of Blue Springs is where it's going to try to produce a tornado. So this is trying very hard to do something bad. So with that in mind, that's the reason why you need to, if you are in this red box, I'm going to pull it down where the only thing in that red box is the box itself. If you are in Sherman, or if you are in Blue Springs, or if you're Graves or Guntown or Saltillo here, we need to have you in that tornado safe place because this storm potentially means business. It is strong, it is slow moving, and it's attempting to produce a tornado. We believe we've seen multiple funnel clouds on it, and it's conceivable that it could try to produce a tornado very soon here. So as I go back to the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, yeah, just east of Blue Springs, southeast of Blue Springs, between Blue Springs and Sherman, is where our rotation is showing up at this time, right there. So as we go back to Tupelo Tower Cam, let's see if that matches. I think it does. I'm going to widen this just a little bit, make sure we're on exactly the right spot, because this is moving some. Yeah, see, that is our rotation that's probably ahead there, getting a little more organized. I don't have quite all the features we had a moment ago there, but there's definitely more lightning showing up. So this is where it will happen as we're looking back into Union County, where this rotation is southeast of Blue Springs at this moment. So if you live near Blue Springs, we need to be in that tornado safe place. Clearly, we're going to have a view, and if this produces a tornado, we don't want your pictures. It's great if, I mean, after the fact, if you want to send those in. But I encourage you not to take them yourselves. We're going to have a viewpoint on this. Let's make sure you're in that tornado safe place if you live there. But thankfully at this moment we still do have a gap between the bottom of this cloud and the ground, as that is moving toward County Road 194 and County Road 196. Those would both be Union County Roads 194 and 196. Now this angle here, that is far northwest Lee County. We might call, one of you, we might call Kelly and Drew, make sure they're good to go up there. And if you know somebody that lives in this area, give them a call and make sure that they're paying attention and know that this storm could potentially try to produce a tornado. It's a couple of times, yeah, see, that's what I was talking about there. Starting to develop a new one of those new hook echoes right here where we have that. So that is moving toward County Road 194. I think we put it, let's bring it in just a little bit closer here. And I show it along, for whatever reason, that county road's not popping up, so let's kind of force it to there. County Road 194. So this is County Road 194 there, Union County 194 and Line Road, where this is. This is fairly rural area, thankfully. But for the folks out there, we're concerned that this could continue to get more organized. Tupelo Tower Cam, as we kind of keep going back and forth to this, losing the light of the day, but we still can see a gap between the base of this thunderstorm and the ground. It's reorganizing. So the reason this is not quite as impressive at this moment and could begin to get more impressive is because it's reorganizing. These storms go through a life cycle where they weaken, the wind comes around, it cuts off the circulation, and then it tries to reform. I believe that could be what's happening here as our wall cloud gets a little, you can kind of still see it over me on my shoulder right there, gets a little bit more ragged, but it could potentially firm back up again. So let's go ahead and let's bring John back in here for a moment. You're good, John. I think yours is on. Go ahead.
The wall cloud is back. They've zoomed back on just a little north of I-22 right now. That's the wall cloud right there.
So that's from the opposite angle of what we were looking at with that Tupelo.
So you're looking at, it looks like you're looking at the city of Sherman right there in the foreground. And that's passing just north and west off of Sherman, north and west of Sherman, I would have or
I'm going to attempt to do the closest thing to a double box that I can here. We'll bring Tupelo Tower Cam up with that. So we're kind of looking at both sides of this now. So this is from Tupelo looking back toward the west. This is from Sherman looking toward the north. It's the same thing, but the features are going to be backwards. They're going to be flipped around because they're looking from a somewhat different angle there. In either case, we see a solid gap between the base of the thunderstorm and the ground. There's a lot of lightning out of this storm. And lightning is an indication of tumultuous movements within the thunderstorm. Now, largely that has been in the form of large hail today. This thunderstorm here with hail in excess of 1.5 inches. But the fact that we have some gaps in this is hopefully a good sign. But this thunderstorm continues to be very organized and clearly strong. Your Currently, what time is it here? Because my clock in front is wrong. We are at 7:37 at this time here. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside our meteorologist John DeLusick and Chelsea Brown in the entire WTVA 9 newsroom. What you're looking at here is a storm attempting to produce a tornado. To this point, we can't confirm for sure that it has produced one, but this area of lowering here is where everything is going up into the thunderstorm. Well, what produces a tornado? Well, this thing has rotation aloft. That rotation gets pulled down to the ground by something we call an RFD. It's the hook echo that you see on radar when we look at it. And as that kind of comes back around, it tightens this up and attempts to make it produce a tornado. So that is what we are watching here as the thunderstorm. You can see the edges of it get a little bit more firmed up and try to strengthen just a little bit more. So we are concerned that this at some point here, that's why we're watching from two different angles, that at some point here that could potentially produce a tornado. At this point, thankfully, it's a could and it's not an is situation. So where is this at this time? Let's show you that here on, well, hold on. Before we go, let's let them zoom in and then we will zoom in. So that would be that feature right there as well. Not a tornado at this moment here that we can confirm, thankfully, but this is obviously somewhat of a tense situation. So let's bring it back over here to Storm Track Doppler radar. And as you can see, the near continuous lightning with this. These are lightning strikes just in the last 3 minutes. That's a lot of lightning strikes on this. Getting much more organized. The wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, we're gonna have to drop the lightning strikes on that. So east of Blue Springs, where I'd have our circulation now as it's getting more organized. The rainfall mode here, see if that's right. Yeah, it's virtually the area of rotation, if you can't tell by the fact we haven't moved the tower cam much, is virtually stationary there near Line Road in Union County. So for a little bit of perspective here, this is Lee County, this is Pontotoc, this is Union County, this is barely in Union County there. This has likely been some pretty large hail up on the north part of here near East Union School. That's more what's moving toward Baldwin, and maybe we're gonna have to watch Guntown. This has had enough of an easterly movement to it that you're probably more in the path of this. I'm gonna keep tracking it at 15 miles per hour, but the reality is that it might not be moving quite that fast. So at 15 miles per hour, as we get a few folks here in the path, we would show Sherman, 4 minutes, the Birmingham Ridge area in about 20 minutes there, West Saltillo in about 26 minutes, assuming it's 15 miles per hour, it doesn't pick up some speed on this. But this is a very organized thunderstorm attempting to produce a tornado moving in your direction, which is why we highly advise you to make sure that you're within steps of or in that tornado safe place. If you live in Guntown, you're just outside of this warning, I'd probably want to have you right next door to that tornado safe place, if not in it. Here's our wall cloud. It has shrunk in size. That means our thunderstorm continues to evolve, and maybe that evolution, let's widen it, make sure we're not missing something on it. Yep, no, that's still our rotating part of this thunderstorm. Let's bring it back in here. And I think we actually can see it. Sometimes when the size gets cut down, one of two things is happening. Either it's weakening or it's not. Okay, well, how do we know what this is? Well, if that rotation is tightening up, it could take a larger wall cloud and tighten it up. So that's what we're concerned. We have to be concerned with could be happening here. But a Tupelo Tower Cam still shows, thankfully, a gap between the base of this cloud and the ground. So you can see some times as it's moving toward the east, we'll say 15 miles per hour. It might not be going quite that fast. These are moving at a glacial pace in comparison to what severe thunderstorms and tornadoes around here typically move. Chelsea?
I can't get it to
Can't get it?
Sit.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll go ahead and put her microphone down. She's trying to fix it. We had a power hit a little bit ago and she's trying to get the clock. Clock was big on Twitter last time around. I have a feeling we're going to have it there again. Luckily, at this point, we see that's the concern. East of Blue Springs now. Go ahead and give up on it, Chelsea. We'll just put it back up. It's not going to come around. But this is tightened back up here, east of Blue Springs, just west of County Road 200. Southwest of the Fairfield area. I'm going to put the rotation here on Storm Track Doppler radar. We are not looking at ground level with this. So when you see rotation, we're always looking aloft. So what happens is the rotation starts aloft. For a tornado to form, the rotation has to start aloft and work its way down to the ground. It's in the process of that when it strengthens at this height that we're looking, that is a delayed reaction as to when that ends up showing up. So we mentioned one of two things was happening, is either weakening or strengthening. I can now say for sure that the reason our wall cloud is shrinking, because this is also getting closer to the radar side, is it's strengthening. And look at that nonstop lightning. We mentioned this a minute ago, the lightning jump you sometimes see. You see an uptick in lightning, and that can be a sign of strengthening on this. And so as well, so the fact we have an uptick of lightning, the fact we show that rotation aloft, we could be within the generation phase of a tornado. If this is going to produce it, we're now probably within that 5 to 8 minute window when it does. So you're looking at this with me. We've been talking about this for a while. The fact that we have not been able to officially confirm a tornado should not discourage you from going to a tornado safe place. We're going to be able to view it here if it happens, unfortunately, with this shot on our Tupelo Tower Cam. As we look, I want to double check our direction here, make sure versus the TV station I have it right. We're looking at 309 degrees, so we're looking just north of west at this time versus where we're at. Let's make sure that that jives with where we expect it to. Yes. So northwest is where this is. So let's go back here and we'll pull back up our Tupelo Tower Cam for a moment. And I don't know if any of those M.Dot cams, John and Chelsea, have it.
It's starting to get too dark to get anything. I'm just trying to find something good.
That's the unfortunate thing. Let's widen this, make sure we're not missing something else, so that's the... So the thunderstorms become elongated somewhat, and so that's what I'm kind of watching here. Nope, that's for sure still our area of interest. Looks like the National Weather Service, at the conclusion of this tornado warning, I'm betting is going to go, and we're going to unfortunately lose this in the tower here in just a second, which is going to kind of take away our visibility, unfortunately. So, okay, well, now hold on. This makes more sense now, John and Chelsea. Like, the elongation we're seeing on our wall cloud there means that, unfortunately, a tornado is going to end up being right in there if it ends up happening, probably. We might barely have a viewpoint. We'll have to see. But there's a couple areas. The elongation of that wall cloud now is shifting the positioning of where that rotation is somewhat. Okay, so let's drop that down there. So at this moment here, we believe this thunderstorm continues to show organization. It's in far eastern Union County. Let's give some all clears here for just a moment. And as my weather calls continue to come in. Tupelo, you're good from this. You're all clear. This is north and west of Tupelo. The circulation is west of Saltillo. It is fairly close. Now, see, we're going to have to watch to see if is it reforming back at the backside here again. Right there, that's what's happening. Our storm is splitting somewhat. This was that tail cloud we saw going into the thunderstorm there, and now it's trying to show more organization. This is still the area we're watching for that tornado, but back to the south and west, it's showing more organization as well. Let's check out our Tupelo Tower Cam here. And as we scour this part of the thunderstorm, there's definitely still a lot of low-hanging stuff. I'm going to move for a moment because I want to watch that for a second here. Unfortunately, we're waiting for lightning strikes. As you can see, the graininess beginning to develop on that tower cam there. I'm going to go to nighttime mode. It's going to make the lightning flashes a little more harsh, but hopefully that'll give us a long enough exposure to be able to see some of these features. A couple of low-hanging things there, but with the lightning flashes, I still see gaps at the bottom. Wait for the lightning flash here on the correct side, back behind it. Nope, we're still good. Okay, let's reset here for just a moment. What we're at, what we're looking at, where we go from here. First off, I want to make sure there's nothing else out there, and we're watching these thunderstorms. Okay, so we talked earlier about that thunderstorm in Louisville. Now we've had this additional batch of thunderstorms. That thunderstorm just straight died. We have this boundary kind of coming back in, and let's trace that boundary north for just a second here. This thunderstorm, y'all, okay, Chelsea, your eyes as well for just a moment. Do you see the boundary? this thunderstorm is about to intercept this boundary. So sometimes when you get the area of like rain-cooled air like this one that's moving in, it can have an interaction and cause some rotation on these to spin up more. So unfortunately, we're going to have to stay on this for a few minutes here, because these thunderstorms, as it intercepts that, you enter a time frame of about 10 to 15 minutes where they can try to produce a tornado very rapidly. Typically in that case, it's not a long-lived tornado. Sometimes it can be, but we're kind of getting closer to that. Storm around Ackerman here shows some rotation on it, looking on wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, but these have been issued primarily for large hail potential. That one there near Ackerman, moving northward toward Eupora, could have hailstones in excess of about an inch, maybe inch and a half in size. It's not moving super fast. Let's put that about 30 miles per hour to get a track on that. And so as we move that 30 miles per hour to the edge of that warning, we show Kilmichael at about 752, Chester 754, Williams 758, Reform on the Mississippi side 803, eventually down toward around Mabin at 822, Eupora at 825. We're going to give one over on this storm up here, see if we're able to change what we're doing with programming here for a moment. So near Sherman, on the rainfall mode there, this is broadened out. I don't have as tight a circulation as I had a few minutes ago. This is kind of pushing around here, giving a big push of wind that could maybe be 60 miles per hour there just north of Sherman. Rainfall mode kind of picks that out, as that's the area that's kind of wrapping back up again in a very similar spot. Okay, so wind mode, we have it there. We do not have debris that we can confirm. Based on that movement, let's give you a new storm track based on the new area of circulation that's developing on this, or reforming on this. And so you can see there, Birmingham Ridge, we show 13 minutes for you, West Saltillo 20 minutes, Saltillo 31 minutes, Lake Lamar Brooks 35 minutes, and Guntown in 40 minutes if it continues at its extremely slow pace. Numerous reports of large hail that have come in from these thunderstorms. And plenty of lightning. We'll try to show you some of that coming up here in a little bit as necessary. I'm going to check Tupelo Tower Cam. If I can get everyone else to sign off on it, we're going to send most folks back to regular programming. We'll stay on NBC here for a few minutes. Looking at Tupelo Tower Cam here, watching the flashes, and our meteorologist Chelsea Brown and John DeLucic behind the scenes here. 3 sets of eyes is better than 1. So we're looking northwest. Let me get the exact degrees that it shows we're looking here. So 322. So yeah, we're basically looking northwest. So we'd be looking at about the spot we would expect to see it. Still got gap between that and the ground. All in favor of sending 3 of the 4 channels back to regular programming? Say aye.
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 Those were 2 tentative ayes. We're going to send Fox, ABC, and MeTV back to regular programming. We'll be right back on if necessary. We're going to continue on NBC as we track these severe thunderstorm warning with the potential to try to produce a tornado. Keep it here for the best coverage. Okay, so for our folks here on NBC, as we continue on Facebook Live as well, if your power ends up going out, there's still rotation on this. The flashes, I mean, we kind of find ourselves in some ways in the same position we were even 30 minutes ago, watching and waiting and maybe and possibly and thankfully not. And there's no guarantees that this ever does take that next step and produce a tornado. I'm hopeful that as we get the darkest black colors kind of in the wrong spot of the thunderstorm, just reverting back to what I remember from when I was in West Texas, a lot of times when we would get into this situation here, we'd have these storms that just sat there and spun and produced big hail. What would happen is if you got your RFD, the area that's kind of wrapping back around, and this portion of the thunderstorm had your brightest returns, it tended to be more of a hail producer than a tornado producer. So I think that's what might be happening. Just the issue that I have on just moving away from this and sending everybody back to programming is if I kick on all the different returns here, what I have translating through this right now is I have this boundary right there. See how that's almost directly out here in Sherman? See that? That outflow boundary is intercepting this.